Well, Mark, you look on the opposing team for Saturday night, and you see the top scorer in the SEC with Trey Jaxson, a guy with really good scoring ability, obviously high shot volume. Just what are the challenges he presents, and how do you plan to combat that defensively with your group?
Yeah, he's a problem because he makes hard shots. He makes bad shots. Normally, you go in a game like, okay, we're going to force guys to take these shots, and we're going to live with it. And it's hard to live with his any shots with him because he just makes every single one. He's an incredibly talented player. I love him. I've really enjoyed watching him on film in the last couple of days because he plays hard. He gives great effort. He makes plays for teammates. He's incredibly creative, skilled. He's aggressive. He's fully engaged in the game. He's a terrific talent. Real challenge.
You said Trey's a guy who can make some bad shots, and you've spoken before about the numbers maybe punching you guys in the face a little bit in terms of if you're forcing guys into a mid-range or a low percentage shot and they make it. So, I guess, how do you deal with that? Is there any way to force him into a shot or an area that you'd rather him take if he is such a skilled shot maker?
Yeah, his numbers are interesting because the spot up he's like a .83, which is super pedestrian. He gets himself in trouble there, which is so counterintuitive. And his ball screen ball handler is a 1.041, which is that's in the top. I think it's the 91st percentile. It's really, really incredible, especially with his volume. So you kind of lean into those a little bit, but with him, you're going to be surprised by absolutely 0 times when he makes really tough shots. And so you go in knowing that, and you just try and exert the most pressure you can, and bring second defenders as much as you can. It's hard to do because they have so many other talented guys on the roster, but it's an issue. It's one of those things where you kind of walk into the game and you're like, well, we think these are 2 or 3 best case scenarios that could work out, and then you hope for the best.
Coach, I'm sure you already know, but I think Jasper would be a pretty good someone to ask about Trey since they played on the same team last year. But aside from Trey Jaxson, what else does Texas do offensively or defensively that could cause you guys some trouble?
Well, they're really efficient. I mean, a couple things. One, they're a really, really well-rounded team. So I think they're 30 offensively and 40 defensively. They're really solid. They're very even that way. They're over a 1 point per possession as a team on the offensive end. They're really efficient. They have 4 or 5 guys that are over a 1 point per possession. They have, they have complementary pieces that they put together really well. Number 5, their starting center is a real short roll threat, a real threat around the rim. He'll make a shot from time to time. Number 6, transfer from Kansas State, is just a terrific talent, and he's an incredibly skilled and physical and versatile 4-man that can hurt you in a lot of different ways. Their starting 3 is incredible, physical, hungry scorer. And their point guard is a 1.4 points per possession plus assist guy. He's in the 97th percentile. So they're really well constructed. They pose a lot of problems. Together, they function well together.
Is there anything that you can take? I know it's different teams, but you played them last year. Is there anything you can take from that game? How you guys shot so well in that game?
Well, it's I'm a little bit familiar with the kind of the makeup of the team. Personnel is way different. I mean, their best players are different, and they're actually different makeups. But in terms of philosophy and style, I think there's a little bit of familiarity there on both sides, for sure.
Coach, everybody talks about the SEC being the best conference in college basketball, but the conference is just 500 since conference play started. What do you make of that?
I think it's been a really disappointing start to conference play. I feel like we should, I feel like we're not living up to the expectations, just being at 500 as a conference. And I just, I'm kind of looking around at the other programs in the league, but like, guys, we got to pick this up. This is embarrassing. And so we'll find a way. I believe in this league. I think we definitely have an upside, and we're going to work really hard to get there.
Mark, with the injuries you've had, your medical background, does that give you a different perspective than maybe other coaches? Because you maybe know a little bit about it from your background?
I think that it is you know, we've said this a bunch, but my greatest contribution to medicine was getting out. Saved a lot of lives that way. That's really true. And so I try and stay out of that side of it as much as I can. But I do understand some, you know, terminology vaguely, and you know, have a little bit of background in it. But I'm definitely not the person you go to for a second opinion.
Mark, is there anything you can tell us on Lamont's status and maybe how he felt maybe the next day coming out of that game, and if he could possibly play Saturday night?
Yeah, it was not great, and so we're still kind of going day by day. We're trying some different treatments, and we're going to piece it together.
And then with Jaxson, is that I know you said maybe be a little while. Is he anything new with him?
Yeah, we'd actually did a third opinion for him yesterday. He's meeting with the best people in the world, as well as Lamont also is. And there's just, we're kind of in the taking in information, trying to figure out course of action decisions to be made. And so they're both pretty complicated situations, timing-wise and recovery-wise, and there's also a little bit of a guessing part in terms of just the best medical treatment at the best time. They're both pretty serious injuries, and the guys are desperate to play, and they're desperate to get healthy, and they're, you know, short-term and long-term, and kind of balancing all those out with the calendar, not just for the season, but for the summer and for next year, is just all trying to fit all those pieces together, and then kind of see day by day what kind of returns they're getting from new medical treatments. It's that's kind of where we are right now. I know that's super vague, but that's. I think we could potentially find some clarity on both those guys in the next couple of weeks. We'll see.
I know it's always difficult as a coach to see any player go through an injury, but is it even more so when you know they are fifth-year guys and going into their last year of college basketball and only have a month or two left?
Yeah, I think it's devastating, actually. I'm so sad for them, right? I'm sad for me. I'm sad for our team, but I'm sad for the guys. It's just, like, you're right here. You're here at Kentucky. Like, we're in it. Like, you've done amazing things this season, and we have so much on the table right now that we can chase this year and that you can be a part of. And then, you know, if it ends up, you know, certainly in small ways, it's been taken from, you know, several of those guys, but it just is. I just know how great it is. I know how it's like, it's what you've worked your whole life to have the chance to do this, and then it just, you know, something a little bit beyond your control starts to interfere, and that's it's hard. But it also, you know, these experiences, whether it lasts for one game or whether it lasts for 2 months or a year, recovering from injury is also a way that we get to be challenged, like, to our core and grow and figure things out. But yeah, in the moment, I'm just, man, it kills me for our guys, for sure.
Mark, with Jax, was it, when he played on Saturday, was it something where he re-aggravated or made it worse, or was it more so testing it out and it just didn't go well?
No, it was just like, I'm not, you know, there's no way I'm not playing in this game. You know, I think under the circumstances, he was just there. You know, it was a quick enough turnaround from kind of when he originally kind of felt the injury to be like, I can go gut this out, and then, and so I think that was just him being like, there's no way I'm missing, right? And so that was that vibe.
Coach, with the substitutions, it seems like within the first 4 minutes of the game, maybe even before the first media timeout, you like to make changes then. I was just wondering your philosophy behind doing that, and maybe why you like to pull guys out or switch things up so early in the game.
So a lot of times when you're thinking about rotations, especially when your roster is rediscovering itself, that's probably not the right way to say it, but you're thinking about getting guys out so you can get them back in time to get somebody else out to kind of have some stability on the floor. So sometimes what's really nerve-wracking is when you play everybody kind of a normal 6 or 7 minute rotation, and then it's got to be a little bit of a wholesale change due to fatigue, and then you have just a boatload of inexperience on the floor all together at the same time. Not only inexperience, but also guys on the floor that are inexperienced and haven't felt that particular game yet, right? So a lot of times you cut one or two rotations short just to get new bodies in, so you can stagger it a little bit, and so you can get those original guys back in sooner, so there can be maybe somebody's rotation is extra long and they can go in with fresh legs. So kind of monitoring all that is part of it, and there's always the unforeseen, how guys are playing, matchups, vibe, fouls, all that stuff.
Coach, does the play of Travis and Trent kind of help you sleep a little bit easier at night, knowing Lamont and Jaxson might be out for an extended period of time?
Yeah, I mean, come on, we have those, and Colin Chandler also I thought was really good in his minutes. Those three guys, it's just time for them to step up and be great, and we're relying heavily on them, and that's what they want, and it's what we want, and it's awesome. So I have a lot of confidence in those guys, and it's just time for us to be better. I thought all three of them were spectacular on Saturday, and we expect her on Tuesday, or what day is it? Sunday, and we expect them to be great this weekend also.
Is it safe to?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Talk about back to what you said about the challenges with injuries. I heard a football coach say one time, when you have an important player hurt, it doesn't take the coaches off the hook. It puts them on the hook because they got to figure things out,
Yeah.
how to do that. Is that what you mean by challenges as far as the coaching staff is concerned?
Yeah,
What are those challenges like?
Well, there's so many variables as you consider you get to know your team. Like, you get to understand your team, and then you get to know your team in different environments, against different styles of play, against different opponents, against different matchups, against different, all those things. And so the most unsettling thing for a coach, I think, when you're having roster turnover is you kind of have to reinvent, and you're not even sure exactly which parts you have to reinvent. You're making your best guess, but you don't have any data points in terms of kind of, sometimes you get surprised, like, man, of all the things I thought I was going to have to reinvent, I didn't think it was going to be this little space, right? And so that's the beauty of a season, is over the course of a season, you're just gathering more information about your guys, about how they function together, about how they are in different environments, at home, on the road, and neutral, against a team that's heavy pressure, against a team with a ton of size, against a team that's super skilled or shoots it well. And so you're taking in all this information, and then it just adds to the variables, right, which is fun. Also, it's getting new guys in new situations. So one of the things that's really challenged us is even though it's maybe been only one position, the loss of one position has made everybody play a different position than what you originally had, kind of where you're first doing data collection. And it makes it fun, and you have a chance and a necessity to be super creative, and also discovering the guys that have growing responsibilities, kind of helping them through the process of the new responsibilities that they're going to carry. And we spent a lot of time today whittling down our playbook, reevaluating, for example, how we can enter offense different ways where we're not demanding too much new information. We're not, our guys are not having to think too much on the court, because that's never great for the way we play. But also where they can be successful in a really limited kind of game plan, play call sheet. It's part of the game. It's not an anomaly. It's part of what you go through every single season. It's intellectually challenging and stimulating, and it's emotionally taxing and fantastic. Right? It's great. It's good stuff.
With Ansley, who first told you about him? I guess when he was in the portal, maybe you should keep an eye or look at this guy, and then. What were some of the maybe data points or film room bits that you saw where you're like, okay, this can translate to this level? Yeah,
I'm trying to remember the first time it was here. I didn't know Ansley at all before I was here at Kentucky, and I believe it might have been Matt Santoro. We have a bunch of different prongs of our kind of portal attack. And one of them is kind of the money ball space of how we run with guys in the portal. So, of course, there's all the guys we know that are super public-facing, high-ranked portal guys. And so there's a bunch of different areas in that space where we kind of attack the portal. But the money ball part of it is really interesting too, where we kind of start, you have your Excel spreadsheet with all of the columns of data, and we start to say, okay, let's forget the algorithm that puts all that data together and then ranks players, and let's just only go to like these 3 data points and throw out all the other data and see like who raises to the top of the list if we do that. I remember, I think it was Matt. It might have been Cody. It might have been, but I think was one of those guys. I think was like, because we're asking all the time. Okay, who's our money ball guys? Like, who are money ball guys? And then you sit down and you kind of jump on the film and kind of see and start to evaluate just box scores and everything else. And his name came up pretty prominently on a list of guys who were like, what do you think? Is there any way? And then we started to watch film, and I can remember watching early clips on him and feeling like, oh, he had a real sense. He had like a creative vibe. He was a good scorer, and he had a creative vibe as a cutter. He had a real sense about kind of finding open space, and clearly we're attracted to his ability to shoot the ball. And then you hear that, he beat Purdue in the first round, and so there's that little component, like, man, he's played in big games and all that stuff kind of coming together. But I think I don't know if that's exactly factually correct, but to my memory, that's pretty close to how it went.
Marcus, just getting Lamont back, what's kind of been the key of the turnaround on defense, and how do you guys kind of carry that intensity on the road where the crowd won't be behind you like they've been here the last couple of games?
Yeah, it's so I might have these numbers a little bit off, but 4 games ago we had we get a rank of the effectiveness of our game plan compared to everybody else that's played them this season. And 4 games ago, I think it was either 17-20 or 20-23, 4-3 games ago. And then with Lamont back, we've been the 2nd best and the 3rd best game plan against South Carolina all season long. We had the 2nd best defensive game execution, and against Tennessee, we had the 3rd best execution. We joked about as a staff last night that was probably like 99% our genius as a staff and 1% Lamont's presence. I'm hoping that that's the case, although I don't think that's actually true. He has a huge impact on the game. He's a really massive part of this, so he's a big part of it. But the part that we're hanging our hat on right now is that our focus is a little bit better, that we have guys stepping up around him, like we've talked so much about Kobe Bryant the last couple weeks, and he's made a massive jump defensively. Our bigs have had much better presence defensively. Our on-ball, not pressure because it's not overkill, but presence, our on-ball presence, having a little bit of a disruptive nature. We're hoping that's been a lot of it, because that's the stuff we actually get to carry into the game Saturday, where we might not be able to carry Lamont in. So it's all of the above, and we'll kind of see. We're gonna find out.
Mark, what was the impetus of Kobe's, I guess, defensive emergence there? Because I know, he talked before the season about coming in, showing more as a defender and showing more offensive versatility. It seems like he's also getting in the paint a lot more.
Yeah.
For both of those, it seems like they kind of clicked around the same time.
Yeah, and he's made big steps all season long. He really has made big steps. Sometimes though, sometimes the moment is what spurs us on to become something we've wanted to become. And for Kobe, the moment was super clear. Like, the moment for our team was really clear, right? It was just like, guys, this is an emergency situation right now. There's actually not someone else to go to. We're using all of the guys, and now it's just time for the guys for us to be better. And I think as we grow, we go through fits and starts, right? Where we plateau a little bit, and we don't see it or understand, or something that's so simple, and then all of a sudden something that's, we get knocked across the head, and all of a sudden we see it. But man, he's sure seen it in the last 2 games. He's been incredible, and every single practice in between, he's been incredible. And they've come together. You're exactly right. Like this, sometimes it comes, I see a lot of seniors actually. I see trajectory of a lot of seniors go through phases. You come in with this incredibly relaxed confidence because, like, you're the vet. I've done this before. I've been here. And so you kind of have this space in the off season and the early season where you're like, this is man. I'm here. I know it. And then you have this little run where it's like, this is it. This is my last chance, and that's terrifying. And a lot of times you see maybe some regression or some, so the pressure starts to get you. And then you see this a lot of times, man, seniors are magic. I've said this my entire coaching career, seniors are magic. And then you see this down the stretch where it's like, okay, I'm super confident I have that. I've dealt with all the pressure, and I'm like, I know that now I can only focus on the things I control, and I'm ready to just roll it out there and see what we have. And then you get this beautiful cocktail down the stretch where seniors do great, incredible, magnificent things, and maybe he's in that space right now. Okay, cool guy.